should you expect to have your cars work perfectly right out of the box? Or should you expect to do a little bit of tuning? Also, should you expect to find replacement parts for those cars? We're going to discuss that in this video. Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk about the kind of the differences between hobbyist brands or the home set kind of ready to run cars and kind of what you should expect. Now, we got a Scalextric car here and we have a Racer Sideways car. Obviously very different kinds of cars. You know, as everybody knows who's probably watching this video, this is, not only is this a home set car, this is a set car. This car you can only get in the I think it's the American Classic set. It's got a Corvette and a Camaro in it. And this is a Racer Sideways Lamborghini. I think it's the Trofeo Cup car. I just got this from the distributor here in North America, GT Slot Cars. Rich sent me the sample to take some pictures for the Facebook page, and just so I could kind of take a look at the car because I hadn't seen one kind of up close in person before. So both of these kinds of cars do appeal to the same people, but the home set brands, Carrera, Scalextric, the home set cars for Policar, they're made really exclusively for, well, not exclusively for, the main market for those kinds of cars is to have the broadest kind of appeal. So you should expect those cars to work perfectly out of the box or work well out of the box with no real tuning required. Of course, you're going to have to adjust the braids. You know, that's something that you should always expect to do. And I think, you know, most of the people that are coming to this page, they're hobbyists, they do expect to have to do at least that. Most folks will probably, if they're like me, they'll kind of tear a car apart and do some adjustments on the screws that are there, the body, make sure there's no flash, that sort of thing. Oil and grease the motor and the axle bearings, and, you know, just generally kind of do some tuning to the car that they just got. I expect that out of any slot car I get. I really expect that out of cars like this. The Hobbyist brands of cars, that's Slotted, Policar, Sideways, NSR, Thunder Slot. There's a lot of Hobbyist brands. Those cars, they're assembled in China. That's it. They're just assembled there. They're not tuned there. They some of those cars are not actually assembled in China. Some of them are assembled in their respective home company countries. So, you know, should you expect those cars to work perfectly out of the box? No. They're just put together, and it's up to you to tune the cars to get them up to the standard that you want. You just should expect that. You should not expect the cars to be perfectly tuned. The tires might rub. They might not be. The front axles might need some adjustment. They probably do. This one spins pretty freely. Yeah, it spins all right, actually. They might need some side-to-side adjustment, and they're obviously going to need the adjustment that you're going to want for the. And I'm holding this up to the light a little bit here. That you're going to want to adjust the chassis, certainly the axles. And certainly the tires. You as a hobbyist, you're a hobbyist, you need to be a hobbyist. You need to expect that you're going to do quite a bit of tuning on the car to get it to go the way you want. Not all these cars are going to be as fast as another one. Some of the companies have more of a scale enthusiast kind of a mentality when they design something. Some of them have a more speed as the primary reason for them to be making cars. That's just the way it is. It doesn't make one car good or one car bad. It's just the way it is. You have to understand when you buy a car especially the hobbyist brands of cars, you have to have realistic expectations for them. So also having to do with that are replacement parts. And it's kind of flopped then. The expectations are quite high for the hobbyist brands. You're going to have the complete range of parts. You just are. You're going to have cars, you're going to have chassis, tires, you're going to have chassis, you're going to have interiors, lightweight, standard interiors. You're going to have, you all know, you're going to have a whole range of parts available, because the expectation is they're going to make a lot of different liveries of the car. You're going to tune them for club racing. You're going to tune them according to the way you really want the car set up to be raced. And there's going to be some breakage. So the expectation is, you're going to need all of those things, because they're either going to break, they're going to wear out, or you're just going to want to change, you're going to want to find exactly the right setup. For the home set cars, this has always kind of been an issue. As most of you all know, I've worked for 3 different brands, SCX, Carrera, and Skelextric. They have different opinions as far as the corporation is about whether they stock replacement parts. SCX, back in the heyday, stocked essentially nothing. They had braid, they had some replacement motors, and that's really about it. The braid obviously is the thing that wears the most. Replacement tires, not really available. Body parts, not available. Most of them, Carrera does make them. They tend to sell the parts, the body parts that is, and the tires and the wheels and axles in their home market in Germany and Austria. They may or may not import them into the US. This is generally due to costs. The same thing with Skelextric. Skelextric does make parts. They have them available for special orders for the dealers, but they don't generally stock a lot of parts as far as replacement body parts, as far as replacement tires or chassis. Okay, so why, do you ask, would they not stock these body parts and a lot of other parts? The reason is they really don't sell very well. Now, bear with me here. Let's say you have 5 different Corvettes. And each one, like 2 of them have chrome wheels, 2 of them have black wheels, 1 of them has white wheels. Well, if you need replacement parts for those 5 Corvettes, you're going to have to stock all the different color options. You're going to have to stock the 3 different color options that I just kind of made up here. So which one of those do you stock? Do you stock if you're a dealer or if you're a distributor? The problem is you're not going to know exactly which ones they want, which ones people might want for replacements. Well, Dave, they should stock all of them. That's a problem, because not everyone is going to want replacement parts for that car. They're not going to accept any old wheel combination if their car had chrome wheels and they want the replacements of white wheels, let's say, or the opposite. Tires. Well, tires, you say, maybe they should be stocking tires. And I agree. They probably should. You should probably stock the tires for the cars that are most popular. And, you can kind of guess what those cars might be. The Trans Am cars, those are very popular. They also basically have a standard tire for those, which is something, part standardization as much as possible is something that I had worked on when I was at Carrera. We tried to standardize parts. We tried to do that at SCX as well. They cut down from having a lot of different tires to having only a few. I think there were 7 different types of tires that they could have, and the most of the tires that were used on cars fell into about 3 categories of tires, so you could just stock those 3 categories of tires. That makes it a little easier for the distributor, for the dealer, as well as the consumer to know what kind of parts they might need for their car. Where this kind of falls down is, like with Carrera, when I was there, at Carrera USA, we had this huge room of parts, and we couldn't really put them on a website because we didn't sell directly. We tried to let dealers know what parts we had in stock, but it really didn't. It was very difficult because not all dealers wanted to stock parts, so you couldn't really give them an easy go-to kind of place about like a website or a catalog, for example. It got to be unmanageable really quick when you release lots of different cars and you have a lot of different, very specific parts for each livery of a car. It's hard to know what to stock. It's hard to know what people are going to want. And then you end up with parts just sitting on the shelves. And you can't have that as a distributor. And it's worse if you're a dealer. Dealers get kind of upset if they have to try to figure out what kind of parts are available. Now, I know, we should have figured that out a little better. I totally agree with you. There's ways of having this work that make sense, and it just takes a while to get those kinds of things in order if you don't have that kind of system in order, if you don't have that kind of system set up to begin with. And that is, that's a valid concern, and that's a valid complaint. I don't disagree with it at all. But what you have from the Hobbyist Brands is they really do cater to the hobbyist, and that's where you're going to be able to find, as many people know, replacement parts from a car like this. You might be able to put them on a car like this. We all kind of know that. You can probably use these wheels on this car. You can probably use these axles and gears on this car, especially if you do a little chassis modification where there's clearance issues. You're probably going to get them to work. Yes, it does make it a little more difficult for the average person to find replacement parts for, their toy car. That's where you have to kind of work with your dealer if you're a consumer to get the parts that you think you might want. And you have to be willing to, use ingenuity to make the parts fit if they require some modifications. So anyway, just trying to give you all a little bit of an insight as to where, your expectations should be with kind of the different types. It's kind of a, there's kind of a line here, the Hobbyist brand and the Homestead brand. Very broad appeal car, very kind of niche car because it's going to take some tuning to get the car running. It's definitely going to be more expensive car as opposed to, a car that you can just throw at the track and it's just going to work. They're both toys. They're both toys. No matter what you might think, they're both toys. You should have different expectations. And if your manufacturer that you're talking to doesn't have those parts available, you just let them know. If they hear it enough, trust me, it's going to sink in. It's going to sink in that if you ask for parts and they make the parts available and you buy those parts, that's the thing. If you ask your dealer to get parts for you, it may sound obvious, pay for those parts when they come in. Don't leave the dealer holding the bag. Okay, guys? Because, it does happen. Anyway, that wraps up the video for today. Like always, I appreciate everyone stopping by. I appreciate all the subs, all the comments. The comments are great. Please keep them coming. If you have any suggestions for future videos, let me know. I am going to continue my Friday night TGIF slot car news. So stay tuned. I'm going to do that every Friday night. Let me know if you liked the video, if you found it interesting. Feel free to share it. And I hope everybody is staying safe and healthy. And bye for now. See you next time.